Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. Today's episode is part 2 of 3 on Jeffrey Dahmer. So this part here will deal with everything after the first murder he committed, if you listened to the first one, which I hope you did, up until he moves into the apartment in Milwaukee. At that point, I'll be taking over for Zap and kind of dealing with that. But this one, Zap wrote up for us and had all the facts. And I think we did a good job on this one, and hope you think so too. So we present to you part 2 of Jeffrey Dahmer.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem, a terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
And history.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave and Matt. I love you, Kate Beckinsale. Call me sometime.
Hey, this is Matt.
And this is Dave.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
Where every week we cover a true crime.
Or a compelling story.
So sit back,
relax,
and comprehend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Old Dirty Basement. I hope everybody's enjoying their little Dahmer series we got going on here. We are about to enter part 2. We have Dave and Zap back again. How's it going, fellas?
How's it going?
All right.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me back. I saw you left the back door open. I might as well pop in.
Yeah,
always, man, always open.
Zap's just been hanging out, but we're back again, and here we go with another story. Go ahead, tell them what it's about, Dave.
Yeah, so Zap, I think, took the middle part of Dahmer's life. So basically with Matt in the first episode, we covered all the way up to his first murder, which would have been at, age 18 in that summer.
Age 18.
Yeah, so Zap, what do you got for us? Like, what parts are you covering?
Yeah, so when last we heard...
We left our hero.
Yeah.
When we last left our hero.
When we last left our hero.
When we last left our hero, his mother had left him. His biological didn't bother.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pulling a Macaulay Culkin Home Alone for a little while.
Yeah.
And while Home Alone, next thing you know, he's killing a hitchhiker.
Yeah, bad.
So I'm going to take us from shortly after that little incident, that little rendezvous.
Ooh, we are ready to go down that road.
Yeah.
All the way from there to where he really just gets down and dirty on the daily in the bowels of Milwaukee.
As you say on the daily, because of the part that I was doing, I haven't read much into just from seeing the story. Were the murders happening within a short time of each other, or were they kind of spread out a little bit?
So for sure, Dave is going to touch on that. When he was at his worst, his absolute worst, it was certainly not daily, but it was for damn sure on the regular. Okay. It was a very short amount of time that there was by far and away the greatest number of murders.
And for the gritty you're getting into on this, he's just kind of he's still trying to find himself, correct? He's still experimenting.
Yeah, so he had, a couple of job opportunities. Didn't know if he wanted to be
pure milk chocolate.
Who's to say what he's going to do? Maybe he just wants to grow up and be a serial killer. But we're going through these different phases in his life. His formative years, or he's already through that now. He's in young adulthood.
Yeah, they don't work out too well.
No,
but I'm pushing for the guy in this one. Like I hope he kind of like straightens some shit out. Gets his stuff together.
Yeah.
Gets a good job.
Yeah.
Finds a nice girl. Gets a job.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't watch the show, I guess, huh? No, it's not going to end well, but
okay.
I'm sure a lot of you that are here have watched the series, and they did it in 10 episodes, but I'm sure there's a lot of things that they didn't get to touch on. I know there were some things that Matt brought up in the first part that we got to talk about that weren't necessarily covered in covered.
Yeah, they went right into
right.
I keep saying the first killing, but the first killing on that series because it happened before.
It kind of jumped all over the place. The show did, so it's kind of hard to keep it in order what was what. But
that's what we're trying. We're trying to do that for him.
Right.
There was a lot of flashbacks.
There was a lot of flashbacks. Yeah. So I'm hoping that we
much
cover
like my dad out of Nam.
Yeah. Right. I'm hoping there's a lot of things that we cover here that will kind of touch on something that maybe wasn't brought up on the show. I know there's some stuff in what Matt talked about. I'm sure Zap has some stuff.
I know what Dahmer was touching. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, nothing good. Yeah.
Yep.
But guys, got anything else before we dive in?
No, excited. Let's get on into this one.
This whole discussion, this whole 3-part series is a dive in into this sadistic, crazy ass. So yeah, when last we left our protagonist, mom left. He had the house to himself. His soon-to-be stepmother and his dad had left, had gone away. He's out banging his new girlfriend. So mom was there with Jeff and his younger brother. Mom picks up and leaves. Murder happens. Lo and behold, dad and his new wife come home and basically just what the fuck Jeff. As soon as they walk in the door, the place is a pigsty. The place is, it's like when your girlfriend or your wife or your whatever goes away. It's like that risky business thing, right? Where you're just running around in your underwear or doing whatever.
Killing people.
I don't have to worry about anything. Well, he really let the place go to shit. So his dad, one of countless times, said, all right, look, you got to get out of here. I can't stand you. So he sends him off to college, to Ohio State University. So his dad actually ended up paying for the whole year. His dad, free ride. Here you go. Here's a year. Go for it. So
what do you think back then? How much do you think that was? Just out of curiosity. I was thinking about that during the show. They talked about him going to Ohio State. So we're talking in like 1978. So if you had to guess, what would you think college tuition back then? Say right now it's probably what, 30, 40, 50,000?
That depends. Are you a state resident or are you an out of state?
I guess he'd be
in-state resident.
So yeah.
Maybe like 2,400, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. That's just something I completely pulled out of the air. I have no clue.
Yeah.
So we're talking 1978. This is before the significant inflation that had happened as a result of Jimmy Carter, whose vice president was Walter Mondale.
Yes, right. Who our hero met.
Who pranked him.
Yeah.
Indeed. So I couldn't even begin to guess the time value of money back then, adjusted for inflation.
My point being is that maybe the dad, I'm assuming he was probably good with money if he was able to like pay it up.
Well, no, the dad was very smart. He was
they were making good money.
Like chemical, I believe chemical engineer. Don't quote me, but he something with chemical, and he was studying for his doctorate.
I mean, he taught his kid how to use acid, and I'm not talking LSD.
Good, yeah, right.
Yeah, Dahmer wasn't tripping balls for like 3 days. He just was just.
I mean, some of the stuff he did, you maybe think he was.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I didn't know about that.
I just got to believe that colleges weren't nearly as expensive back then.
All things relative, though, it was probably like
So all things relative is one thing, but to hear that college now is, I got friends of mine that came out of college and they got a mortgage payment, and they have school debt the size of a house, the value of a house. That couldn't have been the case back then. Could it?
That's what I was just thinking about. That when he paid for his son to go, I'm thinking like, there again, I didn't get into the numbers part of it that he paid cash or whatever, but I was just thinking like, oh, I'm going to pay for the year. And I was like, that's pretty impressive if the dad floated that money.
Yeah, just stroked the check. Here you go, man.
Yeah.
But I don't believe college back then was that as extremely expensive as it is now. I don't think.
Well, even I have a friend, Villanova, for instance, and he was saying about now his kids the two of them are in college, and he was talking about how it jumped from when he was there, and we're talking, that was 30 years ago or whatever, but
Villanova is very expensive,
right?
Though.
So he was telling me like now it's $70,000. Let's just say it's $70,000. It was no, obviously back then.
My oldest daughter we went to visit Villanova, and they said the price, and I was like, well, we're not going to Villanova, so
right?
We're gonna move on out of here.
I didn't mean to throw this all off track, but I was just, when I heard that, I was just thinking about it, like
It's good. It's good. It's something out there too for people to think about. If you got kids going into college, if you're listening to our podcast, something to think about.
Right,
it can be pricey.
And I guess in defense of that, his dad, having been a college graduate, clearly recognizes I should say in his mind, he recognized, well, I went to college. You should go to college.
Right.
He just found it important. Like
I did well. You could do well if you go to college.
Right.
But in any event, his dad paid for the whole year. Good old Jeff majored in business.
I thought he was more of a scientist. That's odd.
One would think. He majored in business and failed miserably. His GPA was less than a 1.0. I think.
Can you even do that?
I didn't think that was possible. I honestly didn't think that was possible. But yeah, his GPA was a 0.45.
Wow.
0.45.
I'm impressed with the fact on that. How you found that was
fun fact.
Wow.
That's low.
That's low. That's extremely low.
You basically, if you complete the college application correctly, you get a 0.45.
Get a point for that. Oh wow.
Maybe. Who's to say?
But who's to say?
So according,
these days, I don't know.
It's interesting though in the flashback, not the flashback, the look back on his dad's part. So his dad wrote a book after all these atrocities had happened, and I'm sure Dave, you'll talk about this. Some might argue that he was striking while the iron was hot, just taking advantage of a situation. Not unlike maybe three dudes who were doing a podcast about Jeffrey Dahmer just because he's popular right now.
Right.
But
it's asinine.
Who would do such a thing? But,
Yeah.
So with that, according to his father in his book, the only thing at which Jeffrey had excelled was riflery.
Oh, really? Good.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Like a Boy Scout type riflery.
The one thing he was good at was shooting guns.
I was thinking about
Eating guns?
To be clear, shooting rifles. He was shooting rifles.
Oh,
shooting rifles.
I thought, eating guns, like he could have been pretty good at.
He's good at that.
Pistolo.
I don't know why the guy would have gone into being like a coroner or that line of work.
We say into porn.
Coroner.
Oh, coroner.
Yeah.
Coroner, undertaker.
Yeah,
Yes.
cutting bodies open, and just if he's that interested in anatomy and cutting things open, you would think that'd be like the perfect career path for somebody like that.
A while back, I did see a special. They said about like odd jobs or something. I forget what the show was called, but they were young kids, like college age, studying to be not a coroner, but the people that
At the
prep the
funeral
bodies.
homes,
And some of them actually lived in the funeral home. It was a free place to stay. The bodies were like downstairs, and they had no problems with it.
Is that what they call an undertaker? Is that the
Undertaker?
The person that is that
Embalmer?
Right. The person that you pay to, bury your whatever or to cremate him, whatever, that's the undertaker. The coroner is the guy who works for some sort of county or governmental entity that
examines the body.
Handles the paperwork in cases of questionable circumstances, more things like that. So let's make this clear. Not everyone who dies goes through the coroner's office, but everyone who dies and is cared for goes through an undertaker.
Undertaker, right. Well, there's actually a good show locally about our coroner that is great. What's his name? I was going to say Neil Patrick Harris.
John Fetterman.
No, our coroner, Graham Hetrick.
Graham Hetrick,
They have a great show on Discovery ID called The Coroner, and it's all local cases. And I'm just thinking a guy like Dahmer, that would have been he would have been, I don't know if it would have fed his.
Didn't think about but it would have, because I think he was kind of the one that was still into the dead things. I think that was in his mind before he actually had the live for the hitchhiker that was there out of some sort of gift that's crazy how that still happened.
Right. But just going back to what Zach was saying about Ohio State and majoring in business, this just wasn't the right.
I didn't see it, yeah. And he did fail miserably.
With the exception of riflery.
Riflery, yeah.
Is that like a minor?
That's like taking, that's like the
gym class.
Yeah,
in college?
if the only class you're good at is gym class, that's the one. That was his one, was riflery.
Riflery. That's interesting.
Yet he did not use any type of firearm.
No.
No, he was sneaky. Extremely sneaky.
Yeah.
He used the old slipperoo of the druggie in the drink.
Yeah, he was slipping roofies.
Yeah, just dropping stuff in your drink. And
that's scary, though.
Crossing fingers. So I don't want to beat this up too much, but that Graham Hetrick show, he had done an episode on a guy I knew. Actually, a guy I would call a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was pretty shady the way that this guy got killed. So you would think, based on the nature of his business, that he would have gotten killed as a result of...
Was it the bookie one?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that house. I know a person that lives at that house.
Lives currently?
Yes.
Okay, I knew the guy that lived there previously.
It's a killer house.
It's an incredible
No pun
house.
intended. I mean,
Nice.
yeah. but the pool and all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it like West Shore area?
No,
No,
it's East Shore.
It's East Shore.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's can we talk about that, where it is?
I mean, we'll just say Steelton area.
I was going to say Steel
Yeah.
Ton.
We'll stay...
Yeah.
Oh, we'll...
Okay.
It's an awesome house.
It is
I mean,
incredible.
We got a pool house, and there was a great episode he's talking about. The guy was like a bookie, and he broke in and
he was a bookie by trade, but he just happened to have this guy that was a friend of a friend or whatever that was staying at his place. And at one point, his name is John. He finally kicked him the fuck out, and so he left, and then came back in the middle of the fucking night, broke in, and killed him. But you think a bookie in that kind of business is
A little more
Strapped.
protected.
somebody's gonna get real fucking pissed that you took their money, or
Right.
that you're gonna send the guys with lead pipes after them to collect that money. They're gonna get pissed that they lost. So look, if I don't want to pay my money, I'm gonna go kill the guy that I got to pay.
Right.
So you would think that it's gonna be
that related to that.
but
yes.
nope, this is just a weird happenstance that it's just this, I don't want to say random dude, but a guy that was staying there with
I
him.
would find it weird if a random dude broke into my house with a lead pipe.
Well,
It's very cluish.
It wasn't a random guy like you said though. It was
Yeah, but I'm saying like a lead pipe.
They have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's some old school bookie day stuff. I get it. Like, like hey, like the bookie.
Right.
Well,
it's a good show though.
We'll find out. We'll find out just the importance and significance of a lead pipe during Dave's segment.
That's right. Yeah.
There's a little bit of foreshadowing for you.
That's right.
So with all of that aside, where were we at? Oh yeah. So terrible student. He only excelled at riflery, and as you get into his father's book a little bit more, we talked about this during Matt's segment that his dad will and had at the time, and probably still does if he's still with us, look for an excuse, look for a reason. What went wrong? What did I do wrong? What could have happened to cause all of this? You saw it a number of times during the show, but it rings true. He consistently blamed alcohol. And I get that. I mean, the dude was a drunk. The dude was an absolute drunk.
We're saying the dad consistently?
The dad consistently blamed
his alcohol
Dahmer's,
addiction.
Yeah, Dahmer's drinking for the cause of his mess ups, his fuck ups. Which, okay, so that's true. There's functioning alcoholics and there are non-functioning alcoholics. So if this guy can't make his way through school, and it's absolutely true. Like there's pictures of him out there from his college days where he's just passed out on a bed or passed out on the floor. Like, he was a drinking dude. That's just what he did for funsies.
Yeah.
Have we heard anything about, did he have a roommate? Like I couldn't find anything on that.
I
Like, that'd
looked
be
for that.
interesting.
I actually looked for that.
Okay.
I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
Because I did also going into this, like, because I saw the Ohio State. I was like, Ohio State, the year he was in school, and, Jeffrey Dahmer's roommate, nothing.
He was only there for like 3 months, right? Or something like that.
No, he probably was not, he didn't even he never went to a class. The GP, he showed up like the first day.
Yeah.
And that was about it.
Or just out and out refused to do stuff. But I'm thinking more of what Matt said. This dude didn't have time. He was just hungover all the goddamn time.
He was just trying to appease his father, go to school, but didn't even go to the class.
Because it was easy to get alcohol there. I mean, probably not as easy as mom and dad's house, but still pretty easy.
Yeah.
So that was the surprise and I'm sure remains the surprise for any parent with any kid in school. Do well. You can do it. Surprise. Sorry, Ma. I got a 0.45 GPA. What?
Yeah, that's
what?
Well, that would be the natural reaction, but his mom wasn't even around.
Right. So I used I could have said Dad. I could have said Tom, Dick, or Harry.
She was caught up in a hotel somewhere.
And Jeff's little brother, who, for sake of protecting innocence, shall remain nameless.
Yeah, he changed his name. I know that.
I mean, God bless him. He had to deal with the shit. Like, Jeff's his brother, which he was a lot younger, I think, 5 years or 6 years younger, maybe.
They were 6 years apart.
6 years apart. And but he had to live with the mom. She was nuts, man.
She was not right.
Bat shit, according to the show.
Yes.
On the topic of drinking, I am curious. Budweiser is featured quite prominently throughout that movie.
And the Dahmer, yeah.
Through that series. Was that his brand? Was that his John?
Well, where's Budweiser? They headquartered out of St. Louis, right?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was maybe.
I'll be long dead in a cold grave before I recognize Missouri.
Yeah.
Old Milwaukee, but he was in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, during
Schaefer's.
The apartment stuff, he was in Milwaukee.
Okay.
So we've talked before about movies and product placement. Things like Pepsi and
Tab and
Coke, you name it.
None of those were featured, though. You're right. The Bud was flowed freely.
So, yeah, and they for sure made sure that camera was on that can of Bud.
Do you think that was product placement? That's what you're getting around to?
And this is where it's gonna kind of warp it. Let's pretend, let's just assume or pretend, just for sake of this discussion, that it was product placement. Let somebody at Netflix said, "Hey man, this guy was a drinker. Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants to throw us the most money, or who wants their product featured?" Is this in some way, shape, or form biting Budweiser in the ass for whomever in marketing at Budweiser said, "Yeah, man, we want that on that Dahmer show"?
Not at all.
Would not be,
because look how much we were talking about this.
Fair. Any press is good press.
And there's, I'm sure, like, it sounds funny to say, and it sounds weird, and it just shows like how American we are. But you see the Budweiser placement on that, and I'm sure there's kids having their next little party or whatever. High school kids like, man, let's try like Dahmer's beer. Might even call it like Dom Weiser or something.
Well, we'll know at Christmas time if they have
Dahmer,
the Clydesdales and Dahmer like together, like in a commercial, like
Dahmer riding the Clydesdales at Christmas.
Capitalize on it.
The snow's coming down. Here comes the big, and then Dahmer's back here with a Santa hat on.
Yeah, He's like back, yeah. We'll see.
Body parts falling out of the back of the
whipping, but instead of whipping the horses, he's strangling them.
Murdering. There's like 8 dead horses, and 2 of them are pulling it. Yeah,
like Dahmer's walking by, they're drinking from like the water, they start falling over.
Yeah.
Santa starts yelling, "God damn it, Dahmer! You roofied my horses!"
Dahmer.
Yeah, we'll see. That'd be Super Bowl time, not Christmas.
That would
time.
be. That would be.
The Dahmer.
I'm looking forward to that. It'd be a great commercial.
Fantastic. So as Dahmer fails his way out of college, in fact, he quit. Like he just walked away.
I'm done. Yeah,
I'm done. It's over. Once you get that low, there's the only way to go is through the outdoor.
Right.
Yeah, he's not going up from there.
His dad said, "Look, man. Okay, you messed up here. You messed up there. You messed up in college. You got no choice. You're going in the Army." And so in 1979, Dahmer joined the Army. In early 79, upon joining the Army, he became a medic, of all things. But again, dude knew
bodies.
He knew anatomy. He knew things like that.
Medic too, probably with the drugs. He probably learned a little bit about what to give people, like because he probably didn't have the roofie or whatever. But
everybody's a guinea pig.
Yeah,
everybody's a guinea pig.
He knew how to make the sleeping pill mixture that he made. That was a good choice though for what he wanted to do. So a lot better than business.
And so as we've pulled in pieces and we're talking about as we go, the Netflix series, there is a scene in that series where he tries to roofie or he does something. He's experimenting on someone in the Army. I looked that up. I couldn't find that. Did that actually happen?
Well, I heard a story that he actually got. There were a couple times he raped a couple of people, and
I didn't read anything about that.
There were stories about that in when he was in the Army. That a couple
were they
of people,
sleeping?
Well, he would.
Were they knocked out?
He would use that pill. The same pill that he
the
would
medics.
use, that he would. I forget what the name of it was, but he learned, like you were just saying, that this particular concoction would knock you out, and these guys were complaining about it. Like basically, well, the one guy, I guess it went on and on and on, and then he was like embarrassed about it.
That's what somebody at work told me that today when they asked what I was looking at, and I said I was talking about the podcast. So I was like, "Who are you doing this and that?" We were talking. I said Dahmer, and he said when I said about he was in the military or something like that, because I can't say it on, but whatever.
Right.
But he said something about like he heard that there was people that were raped, what you said. Yes. I said, I did not see anything like that.
There was nothing like that in the show.
But I guess they were too ashamed or whatever to say something. Like they would be like, man, what happened last night?
So the Don't Ask, Don't Tell came out during the Clinton years.
Oh, okay.
Or sure wasn't the Dahmer years.
Before that, there were no gays in the military.
But that they would talk
that
about.
They can't, that they know of.
So if there was shit going on, they were probably like,
but if you're in the military at the time, you can't come out and say,
that's
hey.
Exactly, that's what I mean by there were no gays in the military.
Right.
For damn sure there were, but you ask anyone that's in charge, hell no, there's no gays in this military.
Somebody comes and complains and they're like, yeah, whatever. They're just going to kibosh it. Is that basically what you're saying too?
That was the Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Right.
Yes. Or the Me Who movement.
Yeah. They were just like, forget about it. So that's probably why that stuff didn't really get addressed, I would assume. But I did hear stories about that.
So this guy, true to his father's fears and blames, dude kept on drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. And he would not only get himself in trouble, there was an instance where, if you think of an example like Full Metal Jacket, where the fat guy that kept...
Yeah, Gomer Pyle.
Yeah, Gomer Pyle. Where if he kept screwing up, then the whole platoon would get...
Yeah, it's
reprimanded
everyone, not just one person.
So there was an instance where he was either mouthy or he did something, he was insubordinate, or he might have just been, fucking up during,
the training,
PT or whatever. So his whole platoon got busted for it, or, reprimanded for it. He got the soap sock.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he had
a blanket party.
He had the soap sock party from his.
He's probably like, more, please.
Yeah,
it's like let me mess up again.
And he got beat up pretty well, man.
Oh really?
Yeah. People will make the assumption, oh well, while it's a hard object, it's wrapped in a soft sock, so it can't be that bad. Look, it's that bad.
It hurts.
You're going to see the bruising, and what you're not going to see is the internal hurt. Like there's the
bleeding underneath,
the muscle pain, the bruised bones. I mean, it's going to get you.
But this guy is in the Army. He's living a somewhat regular life, trying to make it in college, and he's killed somebody already.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. I don't know if you have anything about them investigating murders over there in Germany over the time that he was there.
Nope.
Where are you getting this?
I got nothing about that, and I know he was over there, and I was going to move into that, but we can get there now if you want.
No. Well, after all this came out in the 90s, and they went back and looked over in Germany. At the time, it was West Germany.
That was before Ronald Reagan, God rest his soul, told Gorbachev to tear down that
wall.
Yeah.
And they chanted and
so there was
graffiti.
God bless you, Ronald Reagan. God, I miss you. I'm serious. I am serious as cancer. I miss him.
Good times, Zap.
Ronnie.
Those were good times.
It was our formative years. It was the 80s.
It was a great time.
There's this girl I know that when she was coming up.
Is she 80?
No.
Oh.
She called him Captain Crunchface. Because any kind of cartoon or political cartoon, I should say, or some kind of like the Sid and Marty Krofft dolls on DC Follies.
Right.
If you're familiar at all with that show.
What was
they would make him like really wrinkly.
Land of Confusion with Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Correct. Exactly. That's right. Exactly that. So those are the Krofft dolls.
Oh, okay.
They were featured also in a show called DC Follies.
Yes, I remember the dolls, and now that you say DC Follies.
In grade school, we called him Ronald Raisin.
Ronald Reagan.
Because of the wrinkly face.
Oh,
indeed. So yeah, at the time, Germany. Here we go.
So back to what I was going to say is after all this came out in the 90s, and he was a serial killer, and they were looking back over his whole life to try to dig up anything they could. They started looking at murders in West Germany at the time that were unsolved and that could have possibly been linked to him, because they thought, well, how did he shut it off for that period of time? And they weren't really able to.
Maybe he didn't at all.
Yeah, they weren't able to connect any. There was one unsolved one, but it was like an 8-year-old girl, and it didn't fit any of his.
That wouldn't have happened.
So they weren't able to say that he had committed any murders.
That's interesting.
So it was just something that I didn't know if you had anything in there about that.
That sounds to me like they're just looking for a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we already got a guy. He's already got X, and I'll let you get to that X. He's got many, let's call it, life sentences. Mm-hmm. Why not just throw a few more at him?
There, right.
What's the difference?
But
he would have admitted to it though.
Yeah, he would have said, because he had nothing to lose.
Precisely.
He didn't do anything in Germany. I think that grasping, they're just looking for something.
No, the only thing he was doing in Germany, actually, not surprisingly, was drinking. Now, I don't know if he was drinking Budweiser, but he for damn sure was drinking. Drinking so much, it resulted in him being discharged, albeit honorably. He joined the army in 1979. 6 months after joining, he was deployed to Germany. To be clear, West Germany at the time. And then after 2 years, he was discharged. But
so he did get an honorary discharge.
So he got an honorable
discharge, I'm sorry.
Because the cause for his discharge was not considered something that would be in any way, shape, or form some kind of harm to the public.
Was it from an evaluation? Was it from the drinking?
It was from the drinking. This dude was drunk all the time. He wouldn't show up for work. He wouldn't show up for his job.
So he had to be. Yeah, I don't get that either. But they just said, "Hey, man, you can't be here. We're going to give you an honorable. You can get a job. You can do something else.
It's essentially you're fired.
Thanks for trying.
Yeah, you're fired from the army.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So after being fired from the army, again a result of drinking, at his discharge, they gave him, look, we'll give you a plane ticket. Anywhere you want to go, man. Anywhere you want to go. This one's on us. You get a one-way ticket. You pick. Dude went to Miami.
Yeah, because of the sun and the probably like thinking like, oh, what better place to go?
Well, I guess, good. So we're talking about Wisconsin or Ohio. Like it's cold. Like, we're on that.
It's a whole different scene.
Mm-hmm.
We're on that same latitude. So it gets chilly over there.
And maybe thinking like.
Lake effect.
Yeah. And maybe thinking, I don't want to go back to my life there. If I go there to another part of the country, maybe I can forget everything.
Fresh start, man. Fresh start.
As soon as you go back to Wisconsin or Ohio or wherever.
Maybe like all the shit in his mind too. I thought like maybe the fresh air, the sun, surf could be good for him. Could be good for the man.
And one other thing too, and I forgot to even bring it up. Maybe we'll bring it up. Maybe one of you guys will bring it up. Did you even think about like Wisconsin, Ed Gein, Wisconsin?
I've been thinking about that since we're talking about this particular thing. It's like, what would he do going? I swear to God and Sonny Jesus. 30 seconds ago, as we're talking about this, what's he going to do? Go back to Wisconsin? I'm thinking, well, what is he going to do? Go back to Wisconsin, look up Ed Gein, go to the Ed Gein theme park, or the guy that bought his car that's trying to, charge a quarter to sit in the car or whatever, however that was.
Right.
Like, it's something special there.
Yeah, that they both came from.
Maybe
Wisconsin.
He thought like Gein was weak. Like he's like, that dude sucks.
Well,
like,
I'll show him.
Yeah, I'll show him. Weak.
We're gonna, jumping ahead on that, but they did reference Ed Gein in the shot. That was cool, and that they talked about that. the Ed Gein thing in the actual Dahmer show.
which I'm sure you will get to.
Yeah, I will, but I was just thinking of that.
This foreshadowing's going bananas.
Yeah, we got to cut back
Everybody's
on that.
going bananas.
Right, we'll just give him a little taste.
It's like
of
you
what's
got
to
a
come.
banana in your pants and somebody let a monkey loose.
Give him a little taste of what's to come.
Just a little daze. So dude goes to Miami. What's that?
Florida.
I'm brainstorming here.
The
What's that song? Something in Miami.
La Vida
Welcome to
Miami.
Miami, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's
We missed that. That could have been.
I know. Yeah,
That
all
was
right.
a week ago.
Now we're back.
You
Edit.
can throw that in though. Shooting from the hip, man.
We're shooting from the hip. Where'd you learn that?
Dahmer was good at riflery.
7-Eleven. So, Dahmer goes to Miami. Dude moves into a hotel.
Motel.
Sorry, motel.
Holiday Inn.
Dude's in a-
Holiday. Say what?
Holiday Inn. That's
So he's there, yeah.
Pitbull.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, the original
This is,
Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah, and then it was
Okay.
And then it was, yeah.
All right. I don't know this OG stuff.
Yeah.
All I know is Pitbull. Hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. So, goes to the motel, gets a job at a deli. Now, hey, look, man, cold meat.
Yeah.
It's right up his alley.
slicing it.
I bet he was good at that job. See, I could see Dahmer being like one of them little, remember the employee of the month photos going through the
Every month.
deli section.
Every month.
Dahmer's there just slicing thin, doing his thing.
He would know how to slice that directly with the grain or against the grain.
Yeah, however they would ask,
So the
yeah.
meat just melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's so thin, like paper thin.
Right.
I think making Ed Gein lampshades
Yeah, you get
with this meat.
Dahmer could have been the one that started, like, you know how you go there and like your kids are waiting or you're waiting, like, is this good enough? They give you like that slice
little
just
sample.
to taste. Yeah, just a sample, just a little bit.
Just a little daze.
Yeah.
little taste.
Dahmer's like, hey, and they were like, hey, man, it's pretty cool, Dahmer. I like that. It's a
Right,
good
right.
idea. It's like, yeah, you guys can use that.
I can just imagine Dahmer flipping out on the kids. Hey, look, you get one sample, goddammit.
That's it.
You get one.
No, but he wasn't. He was like a shy. He was quiet. He was too quiet for that.
Yeah.
He wasn't an angry dude at all, except for like the murders and
Yeah, later
killings
on.
and.
I'm curious, did he work in two different delis? Or was it just the one deli?
In Florida? The one in Florida you talking
In
about?
his career.
Well, later on he worked for a butcher.
Okay.
I thought that was a butcher.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
like a
that's the-
Polish butcher. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
So
that was later. in
although
life.
he called it a deli, I could have sworn he called it
He
a deli.
did call it a deli, yeah, but I think he was.
It was an ethnic deli.
Yeah, you're right.
Ethnic.
But he was more doing like.
It's like Schmitz.
Yeah,
Ethnic.
he was doing more work with the actual like raw meat and that I remember seeing.
So he
in the
was
back.
chopping, cutting. He was doing.
like putting it in
He was a
grinders.
butcher,
Let's
yeah.
make sausages. Let's do that stuff.
Do you think he
what
kept on like, like Dahmer? Where he goes, I got to go to the bathroom again.
Oh, like like
He's
getting a
like
hard
jerking
on.
off. To like, holy shit.
I wouldn't be shocked.
He's like, man, I just grinded that meat. I gotta go.
Look, those pig intestines are nature's condom.
Yeah.
Right?
Could be. All
be.
right, so this clears things up. I was curious about that. Now we got that squared away, and that's good. So while working at the deli, living in the motel, he ended up getting evicted from his motel.
Oh
Wasn't paying,
man,
yeah.
Wasn't
come on,
paying them
Dahmer.
bills. He instead was blowing his money on booze. Any and every dollar he made, he was throwing it on booze. He for damn sure wasn't throwing it at women.
No,
They're expensive.
they are.
Indeed.
So is alcohol.
So he lived on the beach for a little while.
So he was just like a
Like a hippie.
hippie, yeah, hippie
like
kind
a,
of dude.
like a Jim Morrison living on a rooftop.
Yeah.
Man. But at some point, he got the shits of that. And just like Mitch Taylor from Real Genius, he called his dad, and not his mom, he called his dad in this
Yeah,
case,
Dad.
to see if he could return to Ohio
Yeah.
And what'd Dad say?
with stipulations.
Yeah.
Always. He was at what?
I can
How
see
old is
where-
he now? 22?
Let's
try to-
I
yes,
think he's
sir.
like 21. I
So-
think.
21, 22. Okay.
This is in late 1981.
Yeah, so you figure 21, 22.
So he's buying his own shit by now. He got the money. He's buying his own liquor. He's 21 going to he didn't go to bars. He just like kind of like enjoyed going to the liquor store, staying at home,
Lick a stove. He's getting
sitting
some
on the beach.
Saint-Ides,
Yeah.
a big 40,
Yeah. I'm surprised he
old
wasn't.
English.
That they wouldn't have like a
Dahmer was some oldie.
some oldie.
Absolutely.
That there wasn't a popping like gay scene down there that he was in.
Miami was huge gay.
That's
Which
what
is
I'm wondering
amazing.
that he wasn't in on that. You
That,
know.
that blows my mind that he didn't kill one person when he was down in Miami, because
Yeah.
that's
That's
at
easy
least-
pickings, man.
At least now, yeah.
Mhm.
It's all gay all day.
Yeah, I mean,
I think in the 80s too. I think it was like a gay scene in Miami for constant, pretty much.
I know the cocaine was flowing back then in that area.
But he wasn't
know what
into
I mean?
drugs. You would figure Maybe he tried. I don't read anything about that.
I'm just saying in Miami at the time, like the cocaine.
That was a very popular.
Yeah.
He don't drink the beer because the bud makes him wiser.
Yeah.
Wait, scratch that. Reverse it. He did drink Budweiser. Allegedly, according to the Netflix 10-part series.
If you are listening, Budweiser, you just call the show. We will just plug you all day, man.
Yeah,
we're here.
Definitely. We have beer out sometime. Like
yes, right now we're drinking Bud Light.
Yeah.
Bud Light on tap.
You can't see it, but I swear we're drinking Bud Light.
110%.
So Dahmer leaves Miami. Short stint, returns to Ohio. And after a short stint of living with his father and stepmother, Jeff got kicked the hell out of there and was sent to live with his grandmother in Wisconsin.
That's where things got interesting.
Yeah.
And this is where things start to get real interesting.
I actually lived with my grandma for a while, so I'm okay, I think.
Nani's?
No, not Nani's. I live with my grandma, my dad's last name, Grandma.
Gotcha.
In the Steel Town area.
At this time of your life, you're talking about?
Right across the street from the graveyard.
No, I think it was a little younger because I got a job working for the railroad, actually.
All right. So on that Dahmer career path.
Yes, I was aiming high.
All right.
It was like the Air Force. But
I think Dahmer could have turned out to be a completely different individual if he had a railroad job.
Oh, yeah.
I know a couple of dudes who work for the actually, I know 3 people who work in completely different positions for the railroad. All of them turned out fantastically. Fantastic. Hard workers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But it's funny how we're talking about that just being, I mean, not funny at all, but saying for like his first murder could have never happened. Like the guy being there on the side of the road, insane. His whole hitchhiker fantasy, the guy's just there. The bags in the trunk, cop pulled him over. That is fact. That is knowledge. And this whole thing could have never happened.
Right.
But it just,
it could have been stopped at any time.
The stars aligned for this guy. Yeah. It was crazy.
He just kept going through life, kind of like just getting out of everything, basically.
But even the thing too, like there could have been a place for him to go, but like, hey, Grandma's is available. You go there. Like he had.
Well, even this whole thing on those apps going to probably get into at the grandmother's house is crazy to me. The stuff that he was up to.
Oh my God! Yeah. You know. Well, we're gonna.
We're getting into that.
We're gonna get down into her old dirty basement. Here in a
minute. Get out of there.
Yeah, it probably stinks down there.
In fact,
what is that smell?
In fact, you'll find it did. So yeah, so he lived with his father and his stepmother for a bit, and after screwing that up, after enabler after enabler.
Yes, enabling. That's what I was
as his dad's looking for reasons what went wrong. You went wrong, dude. You went wrong. You did something wrong. But anyway, so he gets booted and he has to go live with his grandmother in Wisconsin. Now these two actually had a great relationship. He loved his grandmother.
Yeah,
she loved him. That was Jeff.
They had a great relationship. You know, he didn't have that strong mother relationship. So this, I don't want to say that she substituted as his mother in his life. Certainly not going to assume that, but that's his superior or elder of female in his family, and that's who he gravitated to.
And this was Grandma Dahmer, the dad's mom.
This was dad's mom, Grandma Dahmer. While
sounds fun to say.
Just has a ring.
Grandma Dahmer.
Graham Dom.
Yep.
Graham Dom.
Grommer.
Grommer.
That was Grommer. So
correct speech by Jeffrey.
So while living with his grandmother, not long after living with his grandmother, he had gotten a job as a phlebotomist. For those out there who don't know what a phlebotomist is, this is someone who draws your blood.
I didn't know that.
Phlebotomist.
No, know what a phlebotomist is. I didn't know he got a job.
Oh, yeah. And so actually...
Doesn't that take like steady? Didn't he have to be in school?
Well, he was in the army for that, maybe.
Yeah.
For medic.
He got that job because he said, well, dude, I was a medic. I know how to do this, that, and the other thing.
And the honorable discharge. So he's set.
Indeed. So there was, in fact, speaking of the phlebotomy, there was one of many Netflix mix-ups, or shall I say artistic...
I know the word you're looking for.
Yeah, artistic liberty.
Yes.
So there was a Netflix artistic liberty. In the series, you will see him stealing and later drinking bags of blood. That's fake news. He did not steal and drink bags of blood. He did not do that. He did, however, and he admitted to this, at one point, he took a small vial of blood, tasted it, but then ended up spitting it out.
Yeah, it was like up on the rooftop or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
There you go. So, fake news Netflix.
Right.
It looked good for the show.
It was more for effect.
Yeah. Like this guy's so crazy. Look at him drinking blood. He's like a vampire.
He's vampirical. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Well, in less than a year, he was laid off. And Oh, well, he wasn't doing so well at that job. But shortly beforehand, right before he was laid off, he was charged with indecent exposure at a state fair.
Is that for like peeing somewhere?
So this is the scene in the Netflix series where he has this vision of Stephen Hicks. So in the series, this is where he takes the big hammer and he hits the little springboard and it goes the little seesaw thing and it sends the metal thing up to hit the bell.
And he's trashed.
And he's wasted.
He's going.
Drinking Budweiser.
Loves that stuff.
So after this, he's the strongest man in the world. He's trying to impress people. You know, his grandma encouraged him, "Hey, go out, get out a little bit. You know, you used to like the state fair. You've been there before. Go check out the fair."
State fair's in town, hun.
Well, it's like
go have fun.
Hey, not for nothing. For me, that's like going to the farm show.
Right.
Yep.
Look, 45. I promise you, I go to that farm show every year, I do not miss the farm show.
So
does not
pandemic,
happen unless it misses me.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude goes to this state fair, aka the farm show outside. They call it a state fair. Has this vision of Steven, and next thing you know, he's just pulling it out and playing with old One Eye.
Right, spanking it.
Yep, and got charged with indecent exposure. Oh well,
he was that excited.
I mean, he saw his first, so he saw that first kill. So he's got this feeling of empowerment. Oh, I'm so strong. Oh, I feel so good. Surely everyone is looking at me. I just did something fantastic. Nobody can ever make that bell ring.
Oh, you were talking about Stephen. His first kill was Stephen. I thought you said Stephen Hawking's. I was like, that's odd.
Did I say Stephen Hawking's? If I did, I meant to say Stephen Hicks.
I don't know that you did. I don't know. I didn't catch that.
It's a joke.
Okay.
Oh.
I thought he was that excited. Never mind.
I don't know.
You're saying dude might have gotten excited at Stephen Hawking?
Yes, it was a joke. Never mind. You missed it. Go ahead, Stephen.
So, right. So he has this vision of, he's reminded of, what got him off and what got him so excited to pick up Stephen in Stephen in the first place was like his chest, right? Like he was really drawn to dude's chest. And well, I just hit this thing and I just nailed it with this hammer. I'm sure that I'm big and swole and I'm sure my chest looks great too. And so he just has this wacko flashback to this dude that he killed.
That's what his dad turned him on to, that, like weightlifting, getting in shape,
right?
Like getting stronger. And I think he used that to his advantage with some of his strangulations and.
Yeah. I remember that scene in the Netflix. It was like an odd scene, but I mean,
I didn't understand that either. I think
they are
going to the bathroom or something.
I don't know if he said that. Maybe that's what he was envisioning when he did it or something, or why they connected the two. Maybe they were just for cinematic purposes, like to make it,
could be more artistic liberties.
Yeah.
In any event, yep.
That's what they were saying in the scene at that time.
He whipped it out at the state fair and scared all the people. Scared a few dozen people saw this.
Yeah. Kids and stuff.
And that is fact. That is fact of the arrest for the indecent exposure.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So he got a fine for that, had earlier lost a job. Not long after, he got a job in 1985 as a chocolatier at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory.
Which I've never heard of until the
show. Yeah. But I don't think it was like a big company or anything like that.
Regional there, maybe.
I'd love to know as to whether that business went out of business not long after it was discovered that Jeffrey Dahmer had worked there.
I know they did not. I did hear about that. They just opened a new factory.
Oh.
Yeah, so they demolished that one.
Right.
I guess, I don't know if they demolished it, but they went and opened up a new one, new machinery and all that, just because they figured, people are going to think, oh, he was on that equipment. Who knows what he was putting in the chocolate and that type of stuff. So. But yeah, no, I think they still are around.
They still are around
because they were like
not the same place.
They were in business
since
the 1890s or something like that. Or so it was like they've been around for a long time.
Why is it all chocolatiers that you see? Like they're always like since 1895. They never see anything like 1998.
Because they invented chocolate so long ago. It's like it's tough to come up with new chocolate. Excepting Milton Hershey, I think it's just been the same chocolate for a few hundred years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, you don't see any like new chocolate factories, like Jim's Chocolate 2021.
Yeah, you see those commercials, the Lindt chocolatiers, and they're in there. Yeah,
no new age chocolate.
Right. I'm not eating any Ambrosia. I know that. I don't even care.
No offense, Ambrosia. I'm not going to come after that.
Wasn't that a band?
Indeed, it was.
Yes.
They're often showcased on Yacht Rock.
Yes, they're a big Yacht Rock radio.
Ambrosia,
awesome. Ambrosia. Uh-huh.
Oh,
I'm trying. I know like every one of their songs. I just can't think any right now.
How Much I Feel.
That's how much I feel. It's a great song. You guys would like it.
Feel for you, baby.
Never heard of
How
it.
much I feel.
All right. So while working at the chocolate factory, so there's a little fun fact. It was actually alleged by his coworkers. He had brought in, often he would bring in meat dishes, like, pack a lunch, whatever.
Oh, wow.
Throw it in the microwave. That would be accompanied by what he called his special gravy.
Oh. What do you think that was?
I thought you were going to say people were like, ooh, that smell.
Can't you smell that smell?
But I thought it'd be like something. Yeah, but he was just doing, what was it?
He was, this could be one of those, hey, let's just, the few of us workers who work with this guy, let's just, throw some shit out there.
Yeah.
It is true that his workers alleged after the fact that Dahmer would bring these packed, brown bag in it with
Special gravy.
Yeah, a meat entree with a special, what he called, quote, special gravy. And it is also alleged that he would not let anyone else taste it.
And was this during the time of the murders, or?
Yeah, see, there was only one murder now at the time.
We're still on the first murder that happened back in.
And when he was 18.
Back when he was 18. So
Okay.
back in 1978.
But as John keeps on, this was a show. This was, I mean, you have to put stuff in there, like, tantalizing tidbits and these people who worked for this factory were also like, hey, I want a part of that. I want to be known.
Make up a story or whatever, yeah.
Yep.
Or it could just be, I mean, the dude, like you said, was a prankster and like he was very strange also. So you could just, oh, that's my special gravy and don't touch that meat. Like,
Yeah,
Could be. So still working at the chocolate factory and still brown bagging it. It's at this time that he chose to steal a mannequin. This wasn't on a dare. This wasn't on anything. This was on his own. He wanted that mannequin.
Hide Out is what this
According
series.
to the Netflix series, yes.
Yeah, that
says
he hid in the store.
He hid in the store. I couldn't find how he stole the mannequin. All I can find is that he states, I stole a mannequin. How he got it, I don't know. Again, maybe another artistic liberty. But speaking of artistic liberty, yet another Netflix mix-up. His grandmother did not find that mannequin in his bed, as one is led to believe in the Netflix 10-part series. Rather, she found it in his closet.
In his closet, I did hear that, yeah.
Oh, he hid the mannequin.
Yeah.
Keep it in the closet.
Oh, Michael Jackson.
He is, in fact, a thriller.
He is.
Thriller Night.
And didn't the dad, did you get to the rest part of that with the dad, that she went to the dad, not to Jeff?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Joe Jackson.
No, go right ahead.
So, yeah, she went to, instead of going to Jeff, she went to the dad and said, hey, I found this mannequin in Jeff's closet. And then the dad, Lionel, went to Jeff and was like, hey, what's up with this? And he was like, oh, it was a prank. I did it, and I'll return it or whatever. And that was like the end of it. It wasn't all like they did in the show where she threw it out and he got pissed and all that. So, yeah, but that was crazy. I think I did hear that he did actually hide in the store till they closed and then went out with it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
All for a mannequin
Yeah.
They filmed that at the Boscov's.
before it closed.
Like like the movie. Yeah.
The mannequin.
Yeah, mannequin movie.
So, still working as a chocolatier, got the mannequin, lost the mannequin.
Did the mannequin come to life?
In his mind, it did.
Like
Okay.
in the movie.
Yeah.
This is when he starts frequenting. We're now at the point in his life where he starts frequenting gay bars and bathhouses.
Now, what's the bathhouse? I thought it was something like ancient Greek.
I'm glad
I didn't
somebody.
know.
I'm glad you said it.
Thank you, because when they said it, I didn't understand. Are there still such a thing? Like, do they go? Does a bunch of dudes hang out in a hot tub? Like, what is a bathhouse?
So I guess a bathhouse in modern day terms is considered a place where you can think of it as a Y that you pay for. You know what I mean? Like it's a quick one-nighter. You'll get a shit shower and shave. It's some kind of community bath, but you might be able to have a room too while you're there. Just think of that.
Water would be
Think of the
filthy.
YMCA without the gymnasium part.
Yeah, basically, what I heard about it is it's basically a place that it was designed for these hookups, but it was like they could kind of do it and have like a front. Like, oh, no, it's just a bathhouse, but everybody knew what was going on there,
You don't have to front.
Where are you going? Bathhouse. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
'Cause
Enjoy.
They would walk around with towels and basically like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But that's what I knew from like the ancient Greek thing. I've heard of
That's
bathhouses,
the
and it was
first time
pretty
I
much
heard
the
of-
same
yeah. Because
concept.
One of my things here I'm looking at is in very capital, very emboldened letters, bathhouses. That's still a thing, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's like how a haberdashery
Yeah.
evolves. So the mannequin in and of itself was actually a foreshadowing event for him.
Like a control thing.
So he had discovered with the mannequin, and he sure as hell found out after he had killed Steve that he didn't like his partners moving around. He liked him to stay still. Like, stay still, let me do my thing. And his thing was like, not that, I don't even want to, that's a shitty thing to say. It was for damn sure bad. But
It's not that bad.
Well, I'm saying, so
I see where you're going for a minute.
What I mean is, it wasn't like penetration or anything like that. Like, that's not what he was going for. He just wanted to rub one out onto their chest.
Lay there with you.
Yeah, and then like get a snuggle.
And get a snuggle.
He was a snuggler.
Dude was just looking for love.
In all the wrong places.
In all the wrong bathhouses.
Yeah.
So he didn't like his partners moving around. So this is where the start of the roofies,
The drugging.
was. This was the bam. Here's that point in his life. Man, I'm going to slip these guys a roofie. I'm going to knock them the hell out. And I'm just going to lay with them. That's all I'm going to do, man.
The mind of a killer like that is like he just got, yeah, but he just got to that point where it's like, okay, I'm ready. Like, does he take that? Like, he already had one killed, and it was, how long is this before, after?
This is 3 years after the killing of Steve.
3. So it took 3 years of all this pent up aggression, I guess. And then he's like, okay, I'm ready to roll.
Actually, no, it's definitely, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this. This is definitely more than 3. He started his job as a chocolatier in 1985.
Right.
85. So his first kill was in 78.
Mm-hmm.
So we're now 7 years out.
after it. Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing, because he did admit to all these murders. There was nothing in between them. It's just him
Math
sitting
is
there.
hard.
It is. And we're not
Yeah.
good. We're definitely
Math
Matt and
is
I
hard.
definitely
He
not
was
good.
sitting there marinating on this for some years.
I know, and I don't know if Zap will get into it, but there was a time when he moved in with his grandmother that she was very religious and stuff, and she was trying to always get, and they talked about it a little bit in the show, like, go to church,
Get him to church.
get to
Mhm.
church and all that. And there was a time where it was kind of working for him. He was able to, because he had that murder always on his mind and like that dark place and all that. And there was a time where he kind of was going to church and doing all that stuff, and it was clearing his head from that, and was kind of in the back, and he was actually, kind of thought he was maybe done with it. But did you have a part in there about a library? Something happened at the library?
I know that existed. I didn't write it down, but I know what had happened, and I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay, so yeah,
No, go right ahead. No,
so I think
freestyle.
but I think that was before the bathhouses, was it, or no?
That was before the
Okay.
bathhouses. That was an enticement. So, all right, since you're going to throw it in, I'm happy to add that back in as a flashback.
Yes, yeah.
So
Take it back.
I'm looking over here waiting for him to say something. So let's rewind. Let's hear that little harp.
Right.
We're going back to 1978. Dude kills Steve Hicks. Great. That's what happened. And then that's in the back of his mind. And again, he was with this dude. And
Where's my library? Where's the library?
years later.
Okay,
This is after he's maybe let's call it right around chocolatier, right before he goes starting to work at the
chocolatiering.
at Willy Wonka's.
Yes.
and he's doing well with the grandmother and the
Church, grandma.
Dude goes to the library and he's actually propositioned by some other dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's just sitting there minding his own business, eating food and finger licking.
So he says, "What is this? Mind your business."
So some dude walks by, throws a note at him, and basically in the note was, "Look, man, I'll give you a handy J, give you a blow J, give you anything you want. Like, I'm interested in you, Jeffrey." And
Okay.
so Jeffrey didn't, if I'm not mistaken, Jeffrey did not act on that,
He didn't take the bait.
but that little thing gave him
Some
a peck on the
urges.
neck to wet the tip.
Yeah.
He got the urges. Okay.
All of a sudden, yeah.
So
he
it
was,
threw him out of church mode,
Yeah.
and back into
back in some Dahmerism.
So he gets now, and from
That was
there,
a good fact. Yeah.
then he's like, man, if I could get that at a library just nonchalantly, just think what I could get at the bathhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So then he began his stint at the bathhouse.
He started running game.
Yeah, I think like what Zap was saying after the library, it kind of
To be clear, gay bars and bathhouses.
right?
It's
the
tough to
both.
get. So you're going to be that creepy. You're going to be known to be a creepy dude.
Just
If you're-
showing up there.
If you're standing outside at the bathhouse, because that place is meant to be for people that are already
Final
hooked up.
destination, yeah.
Yeah, the gay bar is not as creepy because
So-
hey, I'm gay, I'm going to the bar, I'm
Well,
going to have fun.
yeah,
But
so-
the bathhouse seems like a Just dirty water, man.
No, it's not even that. It's you go to the gay bar to get the hookup. You go to the bathhouse
to hook it up. I got you.
But he had actually went after the note. It kind of like got him like thinking, and then he started looking at porn and getting back in. Like, so he was falling off the wagon, basically. He was doing well, going to church, doing everything right, had it in the back of his mind, and then the pushed him back
again. Like the stars aligning for Dahmer, man.
Right.
Like
not to say that it wouldn't have happened.
Just reel him back in, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe he was doing well. Maybe he would have been. I don't know.
But this is where he's at now. Like Zab said, he's in these bathhouses.
He's in gay bars and bathhouses, and he's picking up dudes,
doing his thing,
and he's taking them to bathhouses, and they're doing their thing. And so he's at this point he's drugging them, and he's knocking them the fuck out.
Okay,
he's drugging them and knocking them out. This is where this began, at the bathhouses, because. But
I thought there was like the consensual thing, but he likes the control.
Correct.
Thus the drugs.
It was consensual between the two parties to go to the bathhouse, but once they got to the bathhouse.
Los Drugas.
Dahmer, that's right, administers that China White, and which it's not. It's
his concoction
pill.
of
it was
love.
like sleeping pills.
Yeah.
Termazepam or something like that. Whatever. It's knockout juice.
Right.
In powder form. So he ends up doing this, and he continually does this over and over and over. No murders.
No murders, which is important.
No cops looking for murder.
He's just rocking socks at the time.
Precisely. Mm-hmm. But his partners for the evening, his men of the night, they started complaining to the ownership. Like, look, man, I just woke up. I came in here on Friday, and it's like fucking Tuesday now. I just woke up, like, or whatever. I'm exaggerating, but they woke up. Jeffrey's gone. Maybe their wallets are gone. Mm-hmm. For sure, their dignity is gone. So yeah, they just complain.
I did read about that, and this is where they started looking for him personally when he would come to these places. He kind of got blacklisted from
correct. So
these bathhouses.
He slipped enough Mickeys to enough dudes that the owners, let's say it's just at one place. Mm-hmm. You need to understand that there's probably, I would wager, a very small community of bathhouse owners that they probably talk to one another.
Yeah,
like there's conversation.
Think of like restaurateurs, right? Or even bar owners, right? There's only so many of those. Mm-hmm. They're going to call it a trade show industry thing. They're small group of people. So
like, hey Joe, how's the chlorine level this week? I don't know. I got to up it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's what we got to talk about. I mean, that's important stuff.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So yeah, word traveled fast that Jeffrey Dahmer was dropping roofies in dudes' drinks.
Not a good guy.
Doing whatever. They're waking up with a couple of spots on their shirt.
Except that 3 days later, like, you were in that room still? Yeah, man, I'm sorry.
Well, I think, too, they were saying
Happy New Year.
At that time, too, like, cops and all that, like, we'll learn later on, even if they would report these crimes, like, those cops didn't even really want to be in.
No, they wanted nothing to do with this.
Zab and I were talking about that earlier. Yeah, because they wanted nothing to do with some of those areas, low income, especially being gay at that time, with like the AIDS shit too, like in the 80s and stuff like that. They wanted no part of it, and Dahmer used that a lot to his advantage, where he would say, "Oh, just gay stuff, or doing gay stuff."
And they would just go, "Oh, okay,
yeah, okay, get out of here, I'm done." Like,
you know what? Honestly, this is right. Given this timeline, this is right around when AIDS was officially called AIDS, after it had originally been called GRID. Are we all familiar with GRID?
I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. You got
sounds like a strange drug.
You got the GRID, GRID. It was the acronym for Gay-Related Immunodeficiency.
Didn't even hear that.
So way back in the day.
Zap reads a lot.
Sit back and I shall tell you a tale. So way back in the day, when the HIV first came around, it was only found, or at least discovered or reported by, the gay community. So
and then Tragic got it. Tragic Johnson.
No, before Magic Johnson. So because it was at that time only limited to only reported by the gay community, scientists, and I'm actual factual scientists, degreed doctors and shit like that.
I am not a scientist.
I'm no scientist. So they had named it the gay-related immunodeficiency because it was an immunodeficiency disease amongst the gay community.
And it was like running rampant.
So it wasn't until, some kid got it.
Yeah, Shaun White. Or no,
not Shaun White.
Isn't he an Olympic gold medalist?
Ryan White.
I think it's Ryan White.
Yeah, Shaun White was.
Shaun White ain't right.
Just to clarify, Shaun White is a snowboarder.
Yes, and he also skateboards.
Or skateboarder, yeah, too.
Shaun White is a saint. And he is a ladies' man.
He is not. He doesn't have the grid.
He does not have the grid.
I think with Zap, it was Ryan White. I think, and he got like a transfusion.
Ryan White, Sean White's off the grid. Ryan White's transfusion, the HIV.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. It used to be called grid.
Great fact. Thank you.
So with that, as it's transitioning, and now it's not just the gays that are getting this. Now anybody can get this, and sharing needles can do this. Well, now they're passing that around too. So
everybody can get it.
We got to change that name. It's not just limited to gay anymore.
But yeah, the cops are staying away from that shit. Like you mentioned the G word, and okay, man, you guys do what you want to over here. Nobody's killed or hurt. We're done.
We're good.
Yeah, we're driving away from this one.
Do their thing.
The converse to that is if you're running a bathhouse or a gay bar, and you already know that the cops, one, want to stay away from you, but two, probably resent the shit out of you. Like they don't like you because they just don't.
Right.
The last thing you're going to do is call the cops. And that actually holds true for any bar owner. Any bar owner, the last thing they ever want to do is call the cops. So again, now you're doing, gay man sex in places. You're not going to be calling the cops for help. You handle it internally.
Internally, yeah.
And so they handled it internally by blacklisting. Ooh, internally. I like what you did there.
Yeah.
They handle it internally by blacklisting this dude. So no longer able to go to bathhouses. He still kept frequenting the gay bars because apparently,
didn't they converse?
Apparently, there's a shit ton of gay bars because I'm thinking, if you see this guy or if you had an experience with this guy at a bathhouse, and then you go back to the bar and you see him there, you're going to tell the bartender, "Hey, man, that guy's fucked up." Yeah. Or you're going to tell your friends around there or any of the other patrons, dude, avoid this guy. He's going to, roofie your drink and do some fucked up shit to you.
See, this what threw me off. Oh, go ahead.
Well, believe it or not, they actually were a few of them that
were reporting him.
Were cordial with him the next time they saw him. They were like, they wouldn't report it.
Sorry for falling asleep on you. I was really tired.
And it was like
so drunk.
Yeah, they would literally.
Budweiser got my mind tripping.
They would literally act like nothing happened, and they were, "Hey, how's it going?" Small talk, and that was it. And I couldn't believe that when I heard that, but
that's
all
kind of how they
handled it because they were just like.
It makes no sense. And he left with a lot of these guys because maybe there was 20 gay bars or whatever, but he had to circle around. So you would have known from the bathhouses, from the gay bars, hey, this guy went away with, Joey the other day. Where's Joey been for he must be at another gay bar down the street.
He's with Stuart.
Yeah. But
are you talking about when they're actually dying and all that?
No, we're talking.
I'm talking this time.
Just
here.
sleeping. Just the sleeping administration. Just the administration of the sleeping.
I gotcha.
But
not the killing.
Got the killing. Okay.
I just think it
would
seem like a small community
stay away
of people.
From stay away from that guy. He's trouble.
Stay away from that guy. And none of this was. It was kind of like, hey, he was a pretty good time. Like I don't remember anything. Wow, that must have been a blast.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
I hear what you're saying. It's like you're looking out for your own.
Yes.
It makes sense to me to look out for one's own. But the whole concept of bathhouses and this stuff, I don't understand that part. That notwithstanding, in 1986, while still going to gay bars, he ended up getting arrested for rubbing one out in front of two 12-year-old boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Just rando. He's along the river, just doing whatever. And he just pulls it out, has some kind of whatever episode.
When the feelings hit you, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
He did it.
He did it. Again, so that's the second charge, Joe.
So that is the second charge. And as a result of that, he got a year probation.
That's it.
1 year of probation.
Good lawyer.
Things could be worse.
Yeah.
As we're working on the 1 year probation, 1 year later, dude goes back to the gay bars.
So he's not in the house.
He's still at his grandmother's house.
No. He's not at the bathhouse. Still at the grandmother's house.
He's still living at his grandmother's house.
Going to the gay bars.
He's still going to the gay. Now he's still going to the gay bars, and he's still a chocolatier. He's still got that job. So
life's well for Dahmer right now. He's doing okay.
Things are consistent. After his year of probation, things seem just fine and
not killing anybody.
Yeah.
Working. Drugging some people on the weekends.
Things were going so well that Dahmer decided to throw himself a party. And one night on November 20th, he rented a room at the Ambassador Hotel. Having rented the room that night, took himself to a gay bar, met a man by the name of Stephen Tomey. White guy. And after a short little interaction, took him to the hotel. Now, he had absolutely zero intent to kill this guy. All he wanted to do with this guy was the same thing he had been doing at the bathhouses.
Drug him.
He just wanted to roofie him and lay next to him.
Yeah, just do his thing.
So what's funny about this, well, to be clear, there's nothing funny about this.
Right.
But what's funny in the extent of turnaround, right? Like, so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. He ended up roofing himself. He ended up giving himself a little, a little micro dose or whatever.
You gotta hate when that happens.
Yeah, he ended up doing that, and not only did he roofie this guy, but he roofied himself a bit, according to his testimony. As a result of that, he ended up blacking out, just passed out, done. Wakes up the next day to find his partner, Stephen Tuomi, Tuomi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Tuomi.
Tuomi.
I think he was saying
You're
it right.
fine. Yeah.
Let's call it
Rock on.
Tuomi. Again, no intent, just wanted to roofie, lay next to him, ended up roofing himself at the same time, so they were both roofied. He blacked out, woke up the next day to find Stephen's body next to him, chest crushed in, all black and blue, and bleeding out of the sides of his mouth. Obviously tries to revive him, does whatever, slaps him around a little bit, hey, wake up. Nope. He ended up killing that guy and didn't remember that he killed that
blacked
guy.
Out, yeah.
Completely blacked out.
And he was all bruised up on his arms, he said.
So they were fighting.
Dahmer's arms, yeah. Probably they were probably going back and forth. But, yeah, that's crazy.
That is wild as
Maybe
hell.
somebody broke in and killed the guy. Maybe he thought for a long time that he murdered the guy, but he didn't know he was roofied.
I doubt it.
I don't know.
I mean, it's possible, but
maybe
it's possible.
Look, it's so many things are possible. Maybe somebody was, sliding by to, hey, just want to put a mint on the pillow. And they
maybe somebody broke in and maybe it was a robbery. You don't know.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Dang.
All I can find is that he did not remember it, though he did wake up next to this guy's dead body, crushed chest, bleeding out of his mouth. So could you imagine being that room service,
the cleanup,
the maid that comes to clean that John up?
That would be the worst.
It would be the worst. So much
the body left there?
So much the worst that this, of course, scares the shit out of Dahmer. He immediately runs out that morning, runs to buy a suitcase, gets the suitcase, puts the body in the suitcase, the whole body in the suitcase, takes it to his grandma's house, and let it sit there. He cut it up a week later. A week later.
Was that okay? I knew it was sometime later, but a whole week just sitting.
1 week. He cut up the body, ditched anything from the neck down, kept the head.
Yep.
So that was the saran wrappy head.
He kept the head, and after 2 weeks of keeping the head, he ended up boiling the skin off, and he kept the skull.
Now, did you hear the part about when he got the cab?
No. What?
So when he was at the Ambassador and he went to like the nearest whatever, I don't know what kind of store it was, but to get a suitcase big enough to get the body in and all that. So he went back, got the body loaded up in the suitcase, hailed a cab. When the cab driver helped him lift the suitcase, he said, "Man, what do you got in here, a body?" And he was like, "Yeah." Basically, he was like, "Yeah, I got a body."
What did you call it before, Matt? A truth lie?
Truth lie. Yeah. Truth lies.
So he's basically telling the guy, like, "Yeah, I do have a body in there," but that he said that's what he told the guy.
So like, dude, what are you doing? Like, no, I just murdered somebody in that room. Like, dude, shut up, man. You're crazy.
You're crazy.
Like,
no, you really did.
I really did.
Yeah. So he really did tell the cab driver because it was so heavy to lift. Imagine lifting a body up like in a suitcase.
See, I don't get that either. Like they must have that fight or flight reflex, or your body must get so much energy that can you imagine, like, one of you guys just fell out here and I had to like carry you up the steps in a suitcase, mind you. Mm-hmm. I mean, the dead weight and I don't know.
A suitcase is a hell of a lot more easier to lift. A hell of a lot more easier to lift than a body itself. Right, because you got body with arms flailing all over the place, and the weight isn't evenly distributed. And at least in a suitcase, you get to crumple up the body, throw it in there, and it's one rectangle with a handle. Some of them even have wheels. So I mean, it's
I don't think they had wheels then.
I'm sure they did.
But to lift up the suitcase with a dead body in it.
Yeah, I mean, say a guy was like 180, 185. You could deadlift that probably. So
with two hands, maybe like lift it up and just.
Yeah,
shuffle it
and like
around.
and like I don't know if you or Zap just said with the adrenaline going, you're probably just like
that was definitely Matt, and I can see that. But at the same time, if I'm sitting there getting into a cab and I'm paying that cabbie and he's going to help me put the thing, sure, help me out, man.
Yeah.
What you got in here?
dead body.
On the next episode of Old Dirty Basement, we will attempt to get into
a suitcase
and get into a cab and see how that works for all of us.
Yeah.
It's like jumping out of a cake instead of a suitcase. What?
But not.
No, it's
at
not.
all.
So there is differing reports as to whether. So again, he got rid of everything from the neck down, cut it up. It's into bits. He flays the skin off, gets rid of the skin, gets rid of the bones, get rid of all that, kept the skull 2 weeks. And then he boiled the skin off the skull. The jury's out as to whether he actually used the skull for masturbatory purposes, but it is definitely affirmed that he masturbated with the skull present.
Oh, wow.
So if that makes sense, right? So if he's
visual,
right. Yes, he's looking at, oh man, that's turning me on. Like, instead of looking at a Playboy when you're whatever, I'm looking at this skull. Yeah. So again, the jury's out as to whether he might have used an eye hole for his own
pleasure
purposes. But after the boil, the skull, he, I guess, overboiled, used some strong chemicals. He's no scientist.
He said a boil like it's a crab bake.
He used the wrong chemicals, and it really deteriorated the skull. Later on, he ended up pulverizing it. Just
went brittle, and then just yeah. I did hear that part too.
And we would make like a Dahmer powder.
So this all happened late November 1987. So just a little fun fact, since we sit around from time to time talking about movies. In November of 1987. In fact, around November 20th, in the theaters included Less Than Zero.
Great movie.
Cocaine, drugs, right? Dahmer. Flowers in the Attic. Teen Wolf 2.
Oh, wow.
Starring Jason Bateman.
That was not a good Teen Wolf.
No, it was pretty terrible. Despite, I love Jason Bateman, but that was a bad
movie. He's like boxing and stuff. Not good.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Great movie.
I cry at the end every time.
Yes, every time. It's a Thanksgiving movie.
It is. And always fun. 3 Men and a Baby.
That's crazy. All those movies.
Yeah.
1987.
But so this puts into your perspective, we were 11, maybe 12 years old at the time. So while we were watching these movies or hearing about these things in the theaters,
all this shit was going on.
Running around town. This guy was out, and so this was his, this was the first. It wasn't intentional, but he did roofie a guy. He did kill a guy, that same guy. And like OJ, he got away with it.
Yeah.
So
allegedly, right?
Off it goes, and now he starts seeking out victims.
This is what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. This is, man, I got away with it. I know how to do it. I even got a cabbie to help me move the goddamn body.
Right.
I'm gonna do this.
Killing time.
Indeed it was. Indeed it was. So he continued to go to gay bars, still living at his grams. So still living at his grandmother's, still working as a chocolatier, and still going to gay bars. He would hook up with dudes, take them to his grandmother's house, give them sleeping pills.
To grandma's house we go.
Yeah. Indeed. And in fact, so how does somebody get sleeping pills, right? So this isn't your, the
run-of-the-mill
NyQuil or something you're getting over the counter. Like, this is the
legit stuff,
the real deal Holyfield. He had ended up, because he was a chocolatier, he would work odd hours, often 5-6 days a week, from like 11 to 7, something like that.
Probably couldn't sleep.
That's
what he was saying.
Yeah. So he would tell his doctor, "Hey man, look, I need a script. I gotta sleep. I can't sleep." It's like, nowadays people get the medical marijuana card. Oh, I get headaches. Sure, here's your pot card. Same thing. So he was able to get these as a prescription and could just keep refilling them and refilling them and refilling them. So I mean, now the spree begins. And I hate to say it. I mean, we talked about 1 or 2 guys so far individually, but we're approaching a dozen more plus 15 more people here.
Yeah, 2 down, 15 to go.
Just for the instance of time, January 16th, 1988, he meets James Dox Tater, Doxtator.
Dox Tater.
Okay. Yeah.
Dox Tater, an American Indian, 14-year-old male prostitute. This is a 14-year-old kid. Dahmer offered this guy $50 to take naked pictures of him.
Yeah, that was one of his things. I think I don't know where that came from, but he started using the
$50 in a picture.
Yeah, the photographer thing. He was a male photographer. He's looking for talent.
Well, even into the ones I get into, that's kind of like his MO. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to, as I was going through this, I think, all right, a 14-year-old male prostitute. Now, this is this James Doxtator.
Doxtator.
This is going to be his third victim.
Mm-hmm.
14-year-old male prostitute. How do you be a male prostitute at 14?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that going on in it. Like,
is that what they call like trafficking now? Human trafficking?
I think that would be considered.
Yeah, so you're going to start to see a trend here in what's soon to follow.
Does that make him a pedophile then?
I would say.
I would say he is.
I mean, on top of everything else.
You're right, because he knew. Because going back to the story, he would have discussions. Because I think they did find it was this boy's brother, I believe.
No, this is a different one.
This is a different one. So you're
Sorry.
talking
I'm
about.
I'm going way farther ahead.
Right after, or I should say, not long after James on January 16th, that we have on March 24th, 1988, we have Richard Guerrero, a 22-year-old bisexual. Mm-hmm. He too was roofied, murdered, strangled, and this one he cut up the body within a day.
So he's getting better at his craft.
He didn't hang on to it. He
got rid of it.
He cut up within the day. He kept the skull, though he later pulverized the skull. Mm-hmm. So he's actually working on a craft at this point. He's really trying to figure out. Again, he ditches the bodies. He's really into the skulls. Mm-hmm. So how can I keep these skulls? Because everything I'm trying so far destroys the goddamn skull. Mm-hmm. Now it's surprising to me if you got all these bones and you want to experiment. Hundreds and hundreds of bones you got. Why don't you try those?
Yeah.
If there's something you didn't want to, just keep it all. Try that until it doesn't work out. Although the skull, I guess, gets hollow versus a bone that has marrow in it.
Right.
But whatever.
Based on his chemical concoction, also you said he's trying to get something right where, I don't know, the dude's messed up.
So at this point now we've got 4 victims. Now here comes potential victim number 5. This is the one that got away.
Okay.
This is the OG one that got away.
Mm-hmm. That's the younger kid.
So as portrayed in the movie,
okay.
he was a younger kid. I can't speak to his age, but I can tell you that on April 23rd in 1988, he ran into Ron Flowers. And very similar to the movie, I should say, in truth with the movie, the car wouldn't start. Mm-hmm. And he did, in fact, go with Jeff back to Grandma's house. He did drink roofied coffee. Mm-hmm. That absolutely did happen. However, there is yet another Netflix mix-up, some fake news out there, some artistic liberties were taken. There was no such thing as a bus ride after. So I'm sorry for all, you fans out there. So in the Netflix show, in this series, in this particular episode, guy goes back with Dahmer, has a cup of coffee, Dahmer roofies him, guy passes out, and Grandma discovers them. Like Grandma
stays with them all night.
She puts a stop to the whole.
Grandma yells down, "Hey Jeff,
spiel.
What are you doing down there? What are you doing?" "Oh, it's just me, Grandma." No, it's not. So she comes down again by virtue of the series, or according to the series, sits with them the whole night. Well, I'm not letting this kid leave. I want to make sure he's okay. And if he doesn't wake up, or he doesn't wake up soon, we're going to take him to the hospital. In the series, he and Grandma end up walking the guy to the bus stop, putting him on the bus. And the bus driver takes him to the end of the line. And then from the end of the line, the bus driver takes him to the hospital.
So that never happened.
That never happened. What did happen, there was no such thing as a bus ride. Dahmer himself actually took him to the hospital after he'd awoken. So no Grandma. Grandma was not there at all. To be clear, Grandma was not in the car ride or anything like that.
In the room.
Yeah. Dahmer just took him to the hospital the next day. Now, that stuff did happen about, complaining about, hey, man, I was at this dude's place, because the nurse checks him out like, dude, you must have OD'd or did some shit. Mm-hmm. So they called the police. Mm-hmm. This guy, by virtue of the hospital, or thanks to the hospital, called the police. Police went to Dahmer's grandma's house. Mm-hmm. She did corroborate the story, that she corroborated Jeff's story.
That he was there and drunk.
That he was there and he was drunk and all fucked up, and he was just here and slept it off. And, I don't know what he might have taken before he got here, but yeah, you're welcome. I took him to the hospital. And so this is a great way to, play with the somebody that's potentially coming after you. Officer, am I really going to take somebody that I wanted to murder, that I tried to roofie? Am I going to really be that guy to take him to the hospital? Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to kill him, or I'm going to hide him, or I'm going to put him someplace else. Certainly it can't be me.
Now, did you have in there the reason why he decided not to kill him?
So I do.
Okay.
So he actually, there was no intent at all to kill this guy once he realized that the dude was 250 pounds.
Yes.
And he thought it'd be too difficult to move the body, not unlike the suitcase scenario.
So that it was like maybe 165. This dude 250.
Dude had a weight limit. He could only bench so much. He didn't,
So it was like the Hershey Park of killers. He's like, you've reached the weight.
Yeah,
I can't kill over 200 pounds. He's a Twizzler.
Well, he would have
been a Hershey
or whatever Ambrosia chocolates had.
Yeah, whatever their sizes were
at Dahmer Park. But,
so what you're saying? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying in the show there was none of that about his weight or anything like that. Like Zap said, they kind of went.
No, he actually. So the actor in the show is portrayed to look like fit and a decent looking a handsome dude. What would have happened if Grandma wasn't around?
But the cops didn't want to hear any of the story. Is what you're saying? They kind of just threw it away as.
Well, they did, but they, like he said, they went and when the grandmother was there and kind of backing it up, and then he had a good story. So why would I take him to the hospital like Zap was saying?
According to the cops, he had in the cops' mind, Dahmer had a decent enough or believable enough story, and here's this kind and lovable old lady corroborating that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to believe. Yeah, there was two supporting the story to the one.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's another area where he got away with something that he could have, if they would have.
2 Dahmers, 1 dude.
Yeah. And inside this house, and in the show, they went to his house. Now, I don't know if they did that. I'm assuming they did it.
That's what I said. Was there any investigation?
If they would have searched the house, they would have probably found like
easily
stuff in the basement and in his room and everything else.
I think I misspoke. Initially, there was intent, of course, to kill this guy.
Right.
But once he realized, Christ, this guy's 250 pounds, man. How am I going to do this? Mm-hmm. That's when he decided, I'm going to let this one go.
Yeah, Grandma came down and did the cock block on him.
So it is a simultaneous stars aligned for Mr. Ron Flowers. So he was the one that got away.
And I think Grandma was pretty much aware of some stuff that was going on that was very out of the norm. Yeah, so she had to have known that something wasn't right with her grandson.
Well, so for damn sure she knew something was going on because she ended up kicking him out. So at one point, not long after this little incident, she kicked him out for all of 6 months, because of his boozing, because of him bringing dudes back to the house, and because of the foul odors
boozing, the basement smelling. We haven't talked
Jeff,
about
you're
that.
Stinking up my fucking house here, man.
Like, what are you doing down? And they had the dad too in the series coming in and checking out. Like, he's like, Dad, I'm just doing my experiments. I'm trying to find a better way to break down.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that was true, but I'm sure the dad in the grandmother's house had to have come and smelled whatever.
Well, that's what he did. He went down that scene. He took a finger. He's like, "Oh, Jeff." He's like, "What is at the drain?" Because that is true that he was, washing down the drains and stuff. But
look, family is family. It makes sense that the old man goes over there to check on his son and check on his own mother.
His own mother.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Christ, I check on my own mother.
Damn,
it's
what's
what you
going
do.
on?
But the smells emanating. And do you have about where the bodies in the bags? He would put them out with the trash and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Just dropping them off at the curb.
Yeah, I mean the balls to do that.
Just the cojones on this guy.
It's almost like hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. Like, who would put a body out with your trash?
The more you overthink something, the more likely you're going to get caught for doing it.
Right.
So, okay, pretend you kill somebody, you hit somebody on your way home driving, right? It's late at night. All right, well, I'm just going to, how do I get rid of this body? Oh, shit, I'll drive over a bridge, Market Street Bridge, 83 Bridge, who gives a shit? And I'll just throw it over the bridge and it'll land in the thing. But, even that thought, the likelihood's going to be there that somebody's going to see you pulled over, a cop's going to drive by, something's going to happen.
Something will happen.
This was just simple as hell for him. I'm just going to cut him up and throw him away.
Throw them in the trash, and they're not going to go through the trash.
Yeah.
Again, in today's world, today with phones, cameras, everything everywhere, this would have never happened. There's no way possible.
It's all about the Grammy, and that's Instagram. I learned that.
All about. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I read about it in a book about it.
I didn't know about that either.
People use that term Grammy.
All about the Grammy. Okay.
This is taking your pics and however long it lasts on Instapage and off it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, in these days, you have people that are following or whatever. And if all of a sudden you're not, hey, poster, I haven't seen a picture in a while. No response. And off
the death in the hotel room, there's 37 cameras in a hotel room.
Now.
Yes. This would have
been.
Yeah,
precisely. Exactly what you're saying. Yep.
Ever would have even been a thing.
So dude got, all right. So after Stinky Basement, boozing, drinking Budweiser to our fine friends at Budweiser, and for bringing dudes back to the house, which, look, this is this is an old grandma in the 80s. Like, she's not exactly okay with knowing that her son is a homosexual. Like, she's not into that. This is a church-going Christian lady.
Yeah, she knows why the guys are coming to the house.
Right, she's not cool with that.
Happy with it.
So, Jeff, get the hell out of here. You're done. You're done. You're done. Dude gets his new place, right? Dude gets his own apartment. He's there for 2 days, and he gets arrested for fondling a 13-year-old boy.
So he's a pedophile. Yes, there it is.
And that's
that boy is the one whose brother would later be a victim of Dahmer.
I got you. Yeah, he met him out in front of a school.
Laotian family. What is their nationality? They were not Filipino. Laos. Yes.
So anyway, after all of this, dude gets arrested fondling a 13-year-old boy. He has to move back in with Grams. Mm-hmm. He's got no money. He's got no job.
Nothing.
He got nowhere. You got no money. Got no car. Got no woman. And there you are. Moves back in with his Gram. March 25th. When almost a year later, 1989. We're now in 1989. We come across, or I should say, Dahmer comes across Anthony Sears, a mixed race gentleman. Took him to grandma's, roofied him, killed him, cut him up the next day. Now, this is the first victim where fleshy parts were kept. And so by that, I mean with intent of keeping fleshy parts for a long time, as opposed to, I'll keep the skull for a week or two until it gets so shitty, then I got to cook off the meat. In Dahmer's mind, he wanted to preserve certain fleshy parts.
This was not like straight to the acid boil. This was trying to keep.
No, this was
meat.
Quite the contrary. Okay. So basically the equivalent of formaldehyde, although in this case it was acetone. So he kept the dude's head and he kept his junk.
Oh shit! Yeah.
In a jar.
Jar of junk.
Is this the one that in the show was in the brown wooden box?
Later he would put in his box.
Yeah.
Dad's trophy box.
The dad thought it was like,
all his pictures from when he was a kid and
I
stuff.
wish I had one of those.
And I think they said that was when his dad confronted him about what's in the box, and all that. And then he swapped it the next day. He said, "Oh, look here."
Because it came from
their Playboys. Not Playboy, porno mag.
Penthouse, whatever it was at the time. I think it was Playboy.
At that point, he had moved the
head out of the box.
Head and put him into like a metal case, like some kind of cosmetic box or something, like a metal box, and that's the one that he was taking to work with him.
Yeah, we're going to get to that one. Okay. So there are parallel timelines happening right now. Again, he got arrested for fondling the 13-year-old boy, and while he's waiting to be sentenced, in between getting charged and then being sentenced, he kills this Anthony Sears guy right in between the two.
In between, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, think about that, right? So there's a guy we all know who had, let's say, a couple of DUIs under his belt, right? So he gets second or third one, whatever makes one go into lockup for a week or 2 weeks, or you have no choice.
6 months or something like that.
However long the term
is.
You have to go into lockup. This guy, the night before he goes into lockup, decides, well, shit, if I'm going to go into lockup, I'm going to tie one on, right? So he goes out and gets blasted loaded, absolutely drunk as hell. Unbeknownst to him, they piss test you when you show up because you're essentially on, I don't want to say you're on a probation. That's the wrong term, but you're under their work. Yeah. You're in the system there. So
belong to them.
He had essentially violated a condition of prison before he even got to prison. So they ended up tacking on extra time because of that.
Oh, wow.
So this is not too dissimilar in that this guy is in the middle of the system and committing another crime right in the middle. So one of my dearest lifelong friends, like a brother to me, this guy who was an attorney will tell you, look, if you're going to break the law, just break one law at a time.
Right.
Don't stack the system.
Well, it's like driving drunk. So if you get pulled over because you broke the law by having a broken taillight, don't also get caught for being drunk. So lesson there, have an operating car or don't drive drunk.
Don't drive drunk. Yeah.
Again, it's just those two little things. So again, in this case, this guy was doing two things at once. I should say at the same time. So, right, killed a dude while waiting to be sentenced for touching the boy. So then 2 months later, after that killing, Jeff was sentenced for the boy fondling. He received 5 years probation, 1 year in lockup with work release, and was required to register as a sex offender.
Right.
So, all right, here's some comeuppance here. Now the system's finally kicking in after X number of incidents of indecent exposure or what have you. Finally, he gets, again, 5 years probation, a year in lockup with work release. and was required to register as a sex offender.
This is where he still worked at the chocolate factory.
He's by
on the lockdown.
So this is where it is. So he was sentenced in May of 1989, and by the end of May of 1989, he is still working at the chocolate factory, where he later admitted that he had kept the head of one of those victims in his locker at work.
Yeah. And I wonder if that was at Sears, the last guy.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. Because it's not long after this, coming to a close here on part 2, at the end of May of 1989, again, while just having been sentenced, still working at the chocolate factory on work release, with the head and or penis in his locker,
Mm-hmm.
he moves to the Oxford Apartments at 924 North 25th Street.
Yeah.
924 North 25th.
924 North 25th.
Yeah, and that's where
the old Oxford Apartments.
The House of Horrors.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that pretty much would wrap up what Zap's part would be. And then in our next installment, we'll call it,
Our
of
next
the
segment.
Dahmer. That's where we'll get into everything that happened at that notorious address.
And that's rapid. I'm not stealing any thunder. I mean, people got to know this by now. This is where, like, the rapid
Death.
action. Yeah.
Yeah,
Death.
it happens, and in a short amount of time.
I mean, unfortunately for the victims, there's like so many that like you could just spend hours and hours like breaking down each one.
Yeah,
and
what
all that
happened
and everything that
how
happened.
Yeah.
Unlike most crime, I mean, I guess we haven't really got into these serial killers. There are a lot of victims to cover. But most of the podcasts we've done on true crime is like 1 or 2 murders, and it's like a lot of leading up to it.
We're on like True Crime Light.
Right.
We just got into like the IPAs of
right.
True Crime.
This is like a 12%er, you know, and we were doing, a 4 or 5%
You were doing
alcohol
the lights.
content. If you're comparing it, and this guy is like over the top. This is like a mad elf, It's gonna really knock your socks off. But no, that was really a good episode.
Yeah, that was in depth.
You're all
Definitely,
going to listen to how truly accelerated this goes. So just in this segment, so as Matt in our previous segment, Matt had discussed Stephen Hicks. In this segment, basically from November 20th of 1987 through March of 1989, Dahmer murders 1, 2, 3, 4. Dahmer murders 4 people. So in addition to Stephen Hicks, that makes 5 people.
And there is 17 total.
17 total. So you are all in for a wild ride on Dave's
you're
forthcoming
hopping
segment.
the roller coaster of Dahmer.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
You're
dude.
about to pull a Dahmer.
That was really cool, really in depth, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I guess that's it for now. We'll probably have we're definitely going to have the third one up next week. Don't forget to find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Dirty Basement. And don't forget to check us out on TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. Like and subscribe on wherever you're listening, Spotify, Apple, and leave that 5-star review. Really helps us out. And I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.